Hello everyone, it's Professor Stewart, Professor S, Mr. Sean, or whatever you want to call me, creating this last class quick hit. I do this every semester, no matter if it's my face-to-face or online classes, just to give you some valuable information in regards to the end of the course and some information I want to pass along to you as you traverse throughout your college career, no matter if you're staying at the Lone Star, transferring on to a four-year institution, or even if you, after this class or after a couple of more classes at Lone Star, decide that you want to start your career. So I'm hoping this will be valuable to you, this will be helpful, and that you will understand why I wanted to create this last class quick hit video for you. I'm going to try to keep it around 15-20 minutes so as to not take up most of your time. So before I start, I always like to start with a couple of memes. I love memes. I use them throughout my lectures and my face-to-face class all the time. These are not meant to degrade or demean anybody. They're just meant to put a smile on your face, meant to make you chuckle a little bit. I know we're at the end of the semester, and some of you are pretty nervous when it comes to writing that movie analysis paper and taking the final exam, but hopefully this will get you to relax, get you to laugh just a little bit. That was me my junior year at UT, and that was one of the worst semesters of grades, or worst years of grades, and me trying to save them. So as I said before, not meant to degrade, not meant to demean anyone, not calling anybody out, just trying to get you all to maybe laugh a little bit when it comes to college, because this has been a tiring 3 week semester. I mean, it's been a grind. You guys have done an awesome job in this class, and I'm really proud of the work that every one of you put in. So just a couple of things about your final exam. First things first, I think about four of you have taken the final exam already, which is fine. But all chapters in the book, plus all of the quick hits are fair games. If you have not listened to the quick hits, I suggest you go back and do that before taking the exam. Because you are an online class, your final exam is online. It's in D2L. And that says if you want to come to the UP campus, come on Wednesday, May 8th. That was obviously for my spring semester class. I'm pretty sure most of you are going to take it online. I've never, in my years of teaching, have had an online person ask to come take it face to face, but I do have that option for you. And the exam, you only get one shot at the exam, only one sitting, unless you have an exception, unless the university has given you some sort of exception. So all final grades in this class will be posted by Tuesday, June 4th at 4 p.m. It's probably going to be earlier than that. It really just depends on how long it takes me to grade the movie analysis papers. Hopefully it will not take me too long to do that. So just make sure your grade alerts are on in D2L. However, I will send the class a final email that's entitled, or the subject line will say final grades. Open that email, see the information that I write in there, but the sending of that email does mark that the class will be complete. You should always double check your letter grade to your numerical grade in D2L. What I mean by that is this. So you see the number grade in D2L, well then the letter grade's an I star, and the letter grade is the one that goes on your transcript. We have an antiquated system here at Lone Star. I've been complaining about it for years that we need a new system. They, for some reason, don't listen to me. I don't know why. So sometimes how that works is, let's say I put in a letter grade for Mary, and her letter grade is A, and then I drop down to the next person, that's Bob, and his grade is a B or a C. Well, sometimes the system, because it's so old, will change Mary's letter that I've already typed in or put in from an A to a B, which is similar to Bob's. So that's why I double, triple, and sometimes quadruple check grades before I send out that final grades email to make sure that did not happen. For the first time in about 5 years, it happened to me in the spring semester when I was triple checking grades. Two students' letter grades had changed, and I was glad I was triple checking because I caught that. I'm going to be honest with you, some of your professors don't do that. So you should probably go back if you can. I know D2L closes the classes pretty quickly, but you should always double check your letter grade to the numerical grade. And some of you might find some surprises. You earned a B in the class, but maybe your professor ended up giving you a higher letter grade than that. But keep in mind your letter grade must go through the system office, what I call the White House in the Woodlands. That's the system office. They are the ones who releases the letter grade onto your transcript. So some of you might need this letter grade pretty quickly because you got to get a transcript to your four-year institution for transferring purposes. Understand that once I put in the letter grade, it's out of my hands. Because this is a mini-mester, it should go on your transcript pretty quickly. We're told they update letter grades every hour on the hour, but I have had students come back to me and say it took 4 hours, it took a day. I had one student tell me it took 3 days, but that was a couple of years ago, so I think they've gotten some stuff figured out pretty quickly. But let's say if I put in your letter grade at 2 p.m., by 4 p.m. it should show up on your end and on your transcript. After today, I'll no longer take emails on grades unless there is some sort of discrepancy. What I mean by that is this. One of your classmates in this class, actually, I had misread her discussion board and counted points against her that should have not been counted against her. Stuff like that, I will accept emails on. If you turn in something late and I allowed you to do that and I forgot to go back in and grade it, stuff like that, I will accept emails. It's just emails about when will a certain assignment be graded or can you round up my grade, those are inappropriate, so those will not be answered. They will just be deleted. These are my bosses. Dr. Brainenberg, he's actually not the acting dean, he's the real dean of behavioral and social sciences. Kathy Cecil Sanchez is our vice president, and Dr. Ardalan, who I saw yesterday, is the president of University Park. If you want to send them an email, let them know how awesome I am and how much I need $1 million raise, that would be totally cool. If you want to send them an email saying Professor Stewart is the worst professor you ever had, don't even bother because they're just going to delete your email anyway. That was a joke just in case. All feedback is welcome. I welcome all feedback. I'm an adult. I can handle that. I've had students say you should consider doing this, or maybe this would be helpful for students in the future. And I'm probably 50-50. Half of that feedback, I'm like, yeah, you're correct. I do need to change that. And then the other half, I justify why it is the way it is in the class. But I do welcome all feedback. That includes your evaluation on D2L. That is your extra, I mean, that should read an I-star. That is your extra credit number 2. Rate my professor if you want to go in and give me all fives. That'd be totally cool. I realize this is how students are picking their professors nowadays. So if you feel the need to do that, I wouldn't mind that at all. And this summer I am teaching interpersonal, and for the fall, interpersonal public speaking, both face-to-face, and then interpersonal and business professional online. If you want to take any of those classes, you are now part of my cadre, if you will, of former students. And what that means is this. If you need to take a class, if you want to take a class, but my classes are full, because you are my former student, I will always override to get you in. If you are my former student, I probably would not do that. But don't feel like I want to take Professor Stewart, but his classes are full. No, no, no. Send me an email and I'll get you in. Similarly, I'm also that professor. If you want to take another speech class, but you hated my guts and don't want to take me, I'm fine with that. I will suggest other professors for you to take, both at the University Park campus and the other 5 campuses. So fun with numbers. I hated statistics. I'm writing my dissertation right now. I should have my doctorate degree next spring. A couple of years ago, I had to take a stats class, and I hate stats. This one reason I majored in communications in undergrad is because I didn't have to take a lot of math classes. But to help me with my stats class, my professor told me to gather some information for a couple of years that I had been teaching. So between fall 2011 and fall 2016, I taught about, I would say, 1,500 to 2,000 students, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less than that. Of those numbers, 96.4% is the percentage of students who ended the semester with a C, D, or F who did not complete at least 2 assignments. Now, what that is not saying is that's the amount of students who ended my class with a C, D, or F. That's not what that's saying. What it's saying is they got a C, a D, or an F in the class because they did not complete at least 2 assignments. Out of the 96.4%, around 98% of them, they didn't complete at least 1 major assignment. So a major assignment in this class, the exams, the looking glass project, the movie analysis paper, those are major assignments. So my hypothesis was true. And my hypothesis was if you take me in my class and you complete all the assignments, you will probably end up with the grade that you wanted in my class. And the numbers prove that to be true. So what this means is when you see your final grade in the class, the first thing you should ask yourself is this: did I complete every assignment in the class? If that answer is no, that's probably why you have the grade that you have. So I always do this open mic time. It's easier to do this in a face-to-face class than it is during an online class, but I offer it to my online students. So what honest questions or comments do you have about the class or certain assignments? You can ask, why did we do this assignment? I didn't like it. I don't understand the purpose of doing it in this class, and I will answer that question of why we did it. One of the most popular questions I've always gotten during this segment is, why don't I give exam reviews? And if you want to ask me that question, I will certainly respond back to you in an email. So if you want to do this, just send an email with the title open mic question, and I will answer the question, but I'll send it to the entire class. And I won't tell the class who sent the question, so you will remain as semi-anonymous as possible. Here's what other students have said about my classes from past evaluations. You grade too hard for a basic level community college class, and I pay your salary, so you should do what I say. Yes, those are actual comments I've gotten on an evaluation. That's mostly false. When it comes to grading in this class, and I explained this to a student this semester. There's no such thing as a grading style. There is a such thing as a grading criteria. So when people say you grade too hard, my response is it that I grade too hard or you did not adhere and follow through with the criteria of the assignment? And I'm just letting you understand that through the grade that you've earned on that particular assignment. If I were to give you a 100, and this applies to this one as well, if I were to give you a 100 or an A plus on every single thing that you turned in, even when it's not A plus quality work, that's a disservice to you. It's not setting you up well to go into your career, and it's definitely not setting you up well to transfer to your four-year institution. Because when that occurs, when you turn in anything and a professor automatically just gives you an A on that particular assignment, remember, I understand they do that in high school. They have to. In high school, they have to pass you along. We don't have to pass you along here. My job as a professor is to prepare you for the next level. If I were to just give you an A plus on everything that you turn in, that doesn't prepare you for the four-year university. When you get there and you do the exact same thing and it comes back as Fs, one of the first things you're going to do is say, wow, Professor Stewart and Lone Star did not prepare me at all for the four-year institution. That was a waste of my money. That was a waste of my time. So my job when I assess your assignments, when I grade them, is to let you understand this is not up to par when it comes to the quality of work that you need, and this is how you correct it, which is the same response that someone said you could give us more positive feedback. Once again, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I'm not your mom and I'm not your dad. That's the job of mom and dad, is to say, you're my baby, everything you do is A plus quality work. My job as your professor is to critically evaluate you so that you're better the next time. One of the best examples I will give you is this: your reflection papers and your movie analysis project. I'm going to be pretty critical there, but the reason is because I want you to be better the next time you have to write a paper of this magnitude. I don't want you to make the same grammatical mistakes and the same analysis mistakes as you're making in this paper for the next time. So my responses, my evaluations, my grading criteria, and my evaluation of you is to make you a better student. That's the purpose of college. So that's why I say on the positive feedback, that's half true. I give you feedback that is evaluative of your work. It's called a critical evaluation. And one of the things we get into trouble with is when we get critically evaluated, myself included sometimes, we take it personal. It's not personal, it's meant to make you better. Because my thought process is this: the next time you have to write a large essay, I don't want you to make those same mistakes. I want you to be better. As far as the salary part, I always tell students this: do you know what your tuition pays for? Your tuition pays for stuff like the light bills and to have supplies in the bathroom and to make sure the campus is presentable and clean so that you have places to work and spaces to work. Less than 5% of your tuition goes to my salary. So, no, your tuition does not pay my salary, which doesn't mean I should do what you say. And I know the student that said that too. So, so just a couple of thoughts for you. I'll try to make this pretty brief as you navigate to the four-year university and through your life in general. Just a couple of tips for you. And rule number one, don't blame your professor for your lack of effort. If you didn't give a lack of effort, that's not your professor's fault. You have to look inside as to asking yourself, why didn't I give as much effort as I could have? Don't email an assignment to a professor unless told to do so. I don't think anyone in this class did that. I think this class was pretty good about emailing me saying you missed a deadline, what should you do? And I would give you options. Something small, this is mostly for my face-to-face class and for you as well. If you have to turn in an assignment, a hard copy, always staple it or paper clip it together and do that before you turn it in. The chances of there being a stapler or paper clips in the actual classroom that you have your college classroom is pretty low, but your library and will have print centers where you can get this stuff for you. This really didn't happen in this class as well, but it has happened a lot before. Some students write in red and blue ink when they submit stuff online. I just don't understand why this is occurring. So for a while, I've been asking students to explain this to me. What's the purpose? And some students say they do it so the professor can delineate between what is the question and what is your answer. And trust me when I say this, we will know what the question is and we will know which one is your response. So there's no need to color code that for our benefit. You always want to write in black ink unless specifically told by your professor to do something different. Couple other tips as you as a student, always follow instructions specifically for that professor. One of the key or prime examples I can give you is this. I'm an APA format person. I realize a lot of you are somewhat familiar with MLA style. MLA is mostly a style used in high school. In college, it's mostly APA, and that's across all disciplines. So as I said before, you may feel uncomfortable, but I gave you some guides. However, some of you are better at it than you think you are. You got to believe in yourself. So I did notice that across the board in this class and this past semester. If you have questions about something, always try to email your professor. They want you to email. Remember, in my emails to this class, I always said, I want to help you. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And something I've noticed for students over the last couple of years is they're just scared to ask questions. And I've been told that some students are scared because they don't want the professor to think that they're inadequate. And my response is, I'm not going to think that. I'm going to think you want help so that you know how to get it correct. So don't be afraid to ask your professor. Oops, or your TA questions about assignments or anything related to the class. And if you're ever in doubt, always go back to the syllabus. And then you can email your professor or your teaching assistant, TA stands for teaching assistant, and say, hey, I checked the syllabus and it did not say what to do here. So here's my question. Or you could say, the syllabus says XYZ, so I'm just following your instructions from there. And then something else, if you enjoyed a class, please tell your professors, especially here at the community college level. Something you guys might not know, I do everything by myself. I don't have an assistant to help me with grading. So during the fall semesters and spring semesters, I'm teaching 6 classes. Can you imagine how much stuff I have to grade? And even with this mini-mester, I'm still trying to do my doctoral work and run this mini-mester class, so it's been pretty hectic. So if you liked a class or you like something about a class, don't be afraid to tell your professor that you like that. It means a lot to us, trust me. Something you should understand that what I believe in, college is a trial run for being an adult. There are hard lines, there are deadlines, there are consequences for not meeting those deadlines, there are finances. The margin for error is thin because there are no automatics here. There are no automatics in college. There's no automatics in life, right? If you are at your job and you don't know how to do something, but everyone else does, that's an issue, right? So understand that's where questions come into play. That's where knowing what you need to do in terms of getting it correct so that you aren't left behind. I also think mental health is a huge factor. And I believe that we don't do enough, not only here at Lone Star, but in college in general, at the higher education level in general. We don't do enough. Some of you are depressed, some of you have high anxiety, some of you have family issues in terms of what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? And it's not a matter of picking between Chili's and Chick-fil-A. It's a matter of we don't have food to buy for dinner tonight, so how are we going to feed ourselves? I tell the stories all the time. We've found multiple students living in their cars on campus. We've had multiple students who don't have food, don't have shelter. And this has become a real issue that's plaguing college students, not just at the community college level, but also at the four-year institutional level across the country. So this is a major issue. And when it comes to mental health, some of you have high anxiety, some of you have depression. I always tell the story about how I myself, your professor, have had to battle with depression earlier in my life after I graduated from UT and didn't know what to do. So trust me when I tell you, I know what you're going through. I understand. And it's how we deal with these things that are going to get us through. And sometimes we can't be too proud to ask for help when it comes to these mental health issues. So just a few thoughts for you. Just be aware of your time management when it comes to taking college classes. And sometimes it becomes a choice where you have to look at what's left in the class and think to yourself, I have to do XYZ. I don't know if I can do it. And then go from there. Don't be afraid to email your professors. I'm going to be honest. Some professors are going to work with you, some aren't. And that does suck. I'm one of those professors. I will work with you, but you have to be aware of your time management. Failure's okay. It's just what did you learn from that particular failure is key to make sure you don't make that same mistake again. Always be professional with your professors. I'm a big time, huge on professionalism. That includes filling out the subject line of your emails to your professors and emailing with a greeting. Dear Professor Stewart, this is Mary from your online interpersonal main mini class. And then ending, sincerely, Mary, stuff like that. Always be responsible for yourself and your own work. This is more related to my face-to-face classes when they do group work. But even if you're in a group or a group project, don't let someone's laziness get your group down and then have an impact on your low grade for that particular project. Practice self-determination. So what I mean by that is you are free to make your own choices as long as you know what the consequences are. An example I always give when I was an undergrad, I wanted to go to Port Aransas to hang out with my friends for the weekend. Well, I had a Friday class. That Friday class, we were having an exam, so I had to make a choice. Do I want to stay, take the exam, or do I want to get the zero on the exam so I can go hang out with my friends on the beach? I chose the beach. I got a zero on the exam. That brought my grade down from an A to a very, very low B, almost to a C. But I was fine with that. The reason I was fine with that is because I knew there were other assignments in the class that were worth more when you combine everything together that I had to bust my butt on to make A's on those in order to get my A back. But I was also fine because I knew what the consequence was. You know you're going to get a zero. You know it's going to bring your grade down. You got to work your butt off in the future in order to bring that grade back up. And I was totally fine with that. It's this idea of I'm going to miss for personal vacations or to do this or to do this, but you still want special treatment, even though you made the conscious decision to do something that isn't an excusable absence for that particular class. As long as you know what you're doing and you know what the consequences are, it's okay. And just a final few thoughts for you. Always be mature in your work. Adulting is hard. I hate being an adult. I wish I could be a 9-year-old kid again back in my parents' house where they would do my laundry and fix my dinner every night. But I'm an adult and you're an adult. We just have to understand when it's time to be mature about things. Okay? Always strive to be better. I love teaching at Lone Star, but you should not let Lone Star be your ceiling. I can show you research after research that shows that attaining a higher degree means more money for you in the long run. And I'm not talking about thousands of dollars, I'm talking millions. So don't let Lone Star be your ceiling. Strive to go get your bachelor's degree or even your master's degree or even your PhD or your JD. Remember to focus on what you can control. When I heard Michelle Obama say this, it instantly lifted a lot of weight off my shoulders. Sometimes I think students are stressed because they're focusing on stuff that's out of their control. Let's take, for example, an assignment in this class, the movie analysis project. What do you control? You control how you write the paper, you control the argumentation, you control did I follow all of the directions that the professor has laid out for me in the guide. But what you don't control is the grade itself, is the grading process. That's what I control. So sometimes I think some of your anxiety can be relieved or alleviated if you stop focusing on stuff that's out of your control. Only focus on the stuff that you know for a fact you have control over. And then finally, I'm here for you. If you need to chat about life, school, work, you need to just vent about stuff, if you need support at a soccer game, you name it, I just contact me and I will be there for you. I have tons of former students who drop by my office every so often, and we don't even talk about school. We just talk about stuff. The most topic we talk about is how do I get into UT, which that's a very long conversation. But if you need anything, just let me know. But it's been a pleasure teaching you all during this mini master class. Sorry, it's 25 minutes, a little longer than I wanted. But understand it's been a pleasure teaching you all. You all have taught me so much. You all are troopers. You're badasses for doing this 3-week course as hardcore as it is. And I'm so proud of all of you. If you need anything, do not hesitate to contact me.